with a point, but they thought it was going to be 3 right up until the very end. Let's hear what Pep Guardiola thinks. He's with Pat.
Well, Pep, your analysis of the 90 minutes and your team's performance?
Well, we cannot make analysis without what happened this week. Like we play the tough games United and Champions League and on Thursday, now today, and the team like is so powerful in all the aspects. It just heads off to the team, how they're resilient. Of course, it's so difficult where you're not effective in high pressing and you're not effective in the build-up. Always is so tough and so difficult to do it. We make some transitions. I think the result is fair. It's a little bit, we're close in the 5 or 10 results, but I think in general Arsenal was better. Yeah, the team was there, and yeah, we had better result than last season. I would say we had better result than last season against United, so we take for that.
So, is the most pleasing thing for you the togetherness your team's shown today? That's something it feels like you've been looking for and looking at in the early weeks of the season.
Well, absolutely. Since United, when the transfer window's finished, and everybody knows that we'll be here for a long time. Of course, it has been. The togetherness in the 3 games have been top. Of course, in the way we play today, it's so demanding for them. They are so aggressive, and in the long balls on balls, they are so really good, and they have everything. So we defend incredible well the corners, like they are masters, and we take that point. Of course, we have to improve, but after 5 games in the Premier League is where it is.
I think you said you weren't effective in your high pressing. Why was that?
They were better, and we were incredibly tired. So sometimes the people don't realize. So the game against Napoli, Champions League, was so emotional. And after that recovery day, and they ask you have to wait 4 or 5 hours, because maybe you don't know, you live in London, you have that privilege, but the people who live in the northeast, so we have 4 or 5 hours to arrive into London, and it's more fatigue and everything. So, and guys, the team they fought the last 2 Premier Leagues to win it, and the right semi-final Champions League, and not just Man City invest money, they did it as well, and it's so tough. So I could not expect differently, but we were there. We talk about you have to be so strong in terms of mentality. We have done it.
So in the end, I know you said before the game, schedule's not an issue. In the end, the schedule was an issue for you today. It's fair question, no?
You are the journalist, my friend. You understand my process and what happened. Don't understand me. 10 years we are together, so.
Okay.
Honestly, so of course it's not effective. The mindset has to be strong, but we have a lot, fatigue with the same players. We have, how many injuries. John came back for the injury for the national team for a long time. We have Cherky, we have Rainuri, we have Nathan had been out as well all the time. So we have to put a lot of players maybe forget the rhythm. Kusanov was injured with this kind of positions with the pace that he has. We don't have it. So many things can happen. But if you want to bring it, the fact that now I'm complaining for the schedule, that's okay. I'm complaining for the schedule. Are you satisfied?
No.
Okay.
Wait. Sorry, I thought you were going. Today, going to the 5 at the back, taking off Foden, taking off Haaland, are those decisions that you make because of the schedule, because your team's incredibly tired, or is that a sign of a different City? It does feel like it's a slightly different approach this season, playing more on the counter attack.
We will try to don't be like this. But when the opponent is better and we defend deeper, if we have Erling or Tijani or other, we can use the counter-attack, yes. But our intention is not like this. After 10 years here, I think sometimes the opponent is good. Sometimes during 10 years when we won the leagues and other titles, always we make actions of counter. You remember when it's Leroy and Raheem?
I do.
You remember how many counter-attacks we did that with Kevin? You remember? Yeah, with the quality. I would have preferred not to do it, but you cannot expect in this level to do it. So it's impossible. So that's why I'm take a point, and it depends on the game. You have to try to adjust players and do it as fast as possible.
Thank you.
Well, there's quite a bit to unpack there. He's saying essentially, Pep Guardiola, that the City players are there's some level of fatigue from the game being played on Thursday night against Napoli in the Champions League. He's saying that there is also not necessarily complaining about the schedule. That's absolutely what he did not want to say. But he's saying that may well be one of the factors. He's also talking about their approach in this game, which I thought was interesting, because although he's right in that they have counter-attacked beforehand, certainly with the players that he mentioned, this looked like a different kind of City, and it's been evolving in that direction.
Yeah, I think it was a different type of City, and the possession stats tell you that. When you come to the game today, for as good as Arsenal have been or started this season, you expect Man City to dominate the ball. In the second half, he changed that, went to a 5-4-1 and went for more a transition-based football, which we're not seeing, or not used to seeing with Man City. But I understand what it means in terms of Arsenal were the better team today. They dominated the ball. They just couldn't do what they needed to do in the final third. And he adapted. How many times have we been on Saturday and Sunday or Super Sunday and saying that managers need to adapt? That's not Pep's style of play. That's Mourinho style of play, isn't it? Or Allardyce style of play. But it
Everything comes back into fashion eventually.
No, but it can be effective. As we saw, it was just that one moment of not concentrating that got caught out. But in terms of the schedule, I mean, there's players on the bench that Man City could have played today. They've gone with the same team as they did obviously because he was playing well. In the derby, they did really well. Against Napoli, it was a tiring game because they've sat really in the low block and Man City had to try and unpick that. And then today, Arsenal just had too much energy for him, so he adapted to the game that it was today.
The back five or defended deep was a success to a certain extent, except for the goal.
Oh, yeah.
Because Arsenal didn't create anything. But almost 90% of teams play like that when they'll play against an Arsenal away from home. But they had no counter-attack. I know the goal comes from the counter-attack in the first half, but there was nothing in the second half where they really created any. So there's no problem playing like that. But there was so much pressure on that back five or, Manchester City defensively because they never got a breather at all. I mean, probably, we talked about it was strange bringing Erling Haaland off because he's the one who's got the goal first half.
Things especially that we had to do a bit better to give us a better chances and more momentum. We were going to score the goals and we were very close to that.
What were those things, Mikel?
That stays in the dressing room.
Right, fair enough. You talked before the game, in fact you've talked all season long about finishers, having guys who can come on and affect the match. Ezra's ball, Martinelli for the second time in a week. So is that a really pleasing thing from today? Those guys having the right mentality and obviously the quality to come on and affect the match.
Very pleasing. The ones that didn't play in Bilbao, like Willy, for example, and Leo, that they get the chance to play and they play at the level that they did. The ones they did, and Gavi probably deserved to play, he didn't. And instead of moaning, he comes with an unbelievable energy to help the team to get a point. Epps the same. And every player is going to be doing that because we know how difficult and tough it's going to be, and we're going to need everybody at the best.
I know you said you're disappointed with the result at least. How big a point though might that be?
I don't know, but obviously you cannot win it. At least don't lose it, and we created an unbelievable moment to score the goal. But the overall feeling, because I know how hard it is to do what we've done on the pitch against Manchester City with that level, with that coach. I wanted more reward for the team.
Have you seen them like that? Like they were particularly second half in a 5-4-1. Stones comes on, Ake comes on for Foden. It feels like I don't remember seeing City really like that. I think they had 34% of the ball.
Well, I think every team tries to do their best to get the results, and that's it.
Just tell us a little bit when you look back and you think back to the second half performance. I know it's easy for guys like me with hindsight, but do you look back and think, I wish the team that played or started the second half had started the first half?
As you said, you define it really well.
It is easy, but why? Okay, but why not? Because I mean, I don't understand your team in the game as well as you do. So why not? Why not start?
A lot of reasons to do that, but it's fine. We changed it. We made the players and the game that we wanted when that game was required. Before it was required a different game.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mikel.
We'll talk about the timing of the substitutions and come back to that point that Pat asked Mikel Arteta about in just a second. But one of the points he made that struck me was that he said if we create momentum, we will get the goals that we deserve. Did they create a lot of momentum in that game, Arsenal? We looked at how much possession they had. Did they also have momentum, do you think?
I think there was a little bit of momentum in the crowd, but in the final third, I would say no. There was question marks with Trossard starting. I thought he would have went with Eze, although he didn't do well in the Champions League in the week. And then he brings off Marino as well and brings in Saka, understandably because he's coming from a hamstring. And I was always against what Jamie used to say is Arsenal just want to play to draw the game when they're playing in the big games. But I just feel like he's got the players, he's got the squad now to go for it a little bit more. And I'm not saying that he's negative because you're coming up against Man City, who historically have been very good and they dominate possession and they don't know what game is going to be. I think Pep's always a step ahead. Look, he's been his understudy, he's been his assistant, so he knows how Pep thinks and thinks, well, Pep might do something different today. But in terms of what Arsenal have now, they have enough to be competing with the best teams, and I still think they've got the handbrake on. If they take it off just a little bit, they'll be more exciting. That momentum that you talked about. They
won this fixture 5-1 last season.
Yeah, but
that's not a handbrake performance.
But that was Man City who weren't at the best. They was going through a difficult spell. We seen the interview with Bernardo Silva before the game, and he said the confidence was low, nothing was right at that period of time. I just think they have the players to go for it now, and if he wants to go for it, it'll give him a better chance of winning this league.
Yeah, I just think they wasted 45 minutes. I mean, Man City are a title rival right now because of what they've done in the past, but they've had a poor start to the season by their standards. I think most people in this country would say the title will be between Arsenal and Liverpool. And I couldn't see any way coming into this game with how strong I feel Arsenal. I think Arsenal are a brilliant team. For me, the best squad in the Premier League. And I thought they would not win comfortably, but I thought they just come here and win 2-0 against Manchester City today. And Mikel Arteta has got a team and a squad who are that close to being really, really special in terms of winning a Premier League and maybe even winning a Champions League. I think they're that good. But time after time, when it comes to these big games, he picks a team that feels like he's thinking more about the opposition. And that doesn't mean you can't win the league. Jose Mourinho's won the Premier League 3 times. He was a little bit like that. But as I said, for me, that was a waste for 45 minutes. And the reason I'm saying that is because I played for managers like that at Liverpool, and we were really close. We were a very top team, but we never won the Premier League. We won a Champions League, got to a Champions League final. We were a great side. But I always felt at times under Gerard Houllier and Rafa Benitez, maybe we had the handbrake on, as Mike has just said. Now when I get in certain games, I look back at situations, and that is what Mikel Arteta's doing. Liverpool, I won't change my mind, we're there for the taking in that second half at Anfield. Man City were there for the taking at the start of this game, and he's allowed them to come into the game. And it's just a recurring pattern season after season. And if you're Mikel Arteta and Arsenal or an Arsenal sport, you've just got to hope that doesn't cost you at the end of the season, because they are a brilliant team. They've got a fantastic squad, but the margins are so small.
I know you can't read Mikel Arteta's mind, but just give us some insight into a sort of manager's perspective on this. When he knows that Manchester City have played on the Thursday night, that he will, as Pep Guardiola said they did, start to maybe tire, even if it's just mentally towards the end of the game, that they may be that focus that we saw at the end when Arsenal did get their goal just slips for a split second. Is there a sense that Arteta was maybe waiting to build into the game?
Yeah, well, Jamie mentioned working for managers who are very defensive minded. The few managers I've played under, particularly at club level, I always thought were gamblers. Brian Clough and Alex Ferguson, they were gamblers. They were all about winning and not waiting and not worrying too much about the opposition. Now people might say, well, that's because you always had the best players. No, always. Not every season at Man United, and certainly not at Forest. So I felt the managers I worked under were gamblers, and they win for it and they got the rewards. And maybe Arteta is that, maybe defensive minded. We said last year about too many draws. Was it 14 draws he had, but 10 of them for winning positions. And then you look at some of his team selection today, and he works with the players, and he will know them better than us. But you see people like Eze, and then when he comes on, we saw for the quality of the pass. So that's where that gambling, it doesn't mean to say you take silly gambles, but just calculated gambles. If you're bringing players into your club for 50, 60, 70 million who make the difference going forward, then you're asking yourself, it's very hard to have an influence when you're sitting on the bench. I know we talk about the squad, you need your squads, of course. So that would be the impression when I'm looking at Arteta. Yeah, he is very much, I think his mindset is, let's make sure we don't get beaten today. But because of the standards of the other team, and we're talking about Liverpool and Man City over the last few years, that won't be enough. And I'll sit there and I'll praise Arsenal all day. I think they have a brilliant squad. I think they're consistent in terms of being hard to beat, brilliant at set piece, etc. But they need more. The players must know that. The manager and the staff must know that. They know that. They must look at Liverpool. They see Liverpool yesterday going, Liverpool keep winning football matches. Liverpool aren't all of a sudden going to lose some matches. And I thought City, if we hear Pep's vibes after the match about fatigue, well, Arsenal should be having that chat going, look, if City had a tough week, it's been emotional from it on about the Napoli. So make the most of it. Like the first half started here. Again, they'd 1-2 shots on target. When you're the home team, you have to put them under pressure, where City are coming. If they are a little bit fatigued, we go after 10 or 15 minutes going, oh my God, I went for a long day. Now, Arsenal did get the rewards, but they got the rewards towards the end of the game because they are going to gamble. They are going to chase the game. The home teams are going to do that. But that's also on City, where City didn't have that counter-attack.
You were a big figure at Manchester United, the captain of the club, and you're saying the two managers you played were always on the front foot. Or if you were getting managed by a manager who you felt at times was holding you back a bit, would you speak to a manager about that? Would you be trying to driving your team or question the manager? I'm
not sure. Because, again, fortunate the club managers that I worked for, I wasn't necessarily for me to go and do that. And I was a young player, particularly with Brian Clough. But would I do that? I don't know, Jamie. It's a good point. I think sometimes if there's some good senior players at your club or at international level and you feel you can do a bit more, yeah, you would do. But I never had to do that because at club level, the managers were always, I felt, their mindset was always, even with 10 or 15 minutes to go, and depending on the situation, if you get a man sent off, you're up against it. Listen, we've all sat there and gone, listen, you take the draw. But if you know too many draws won't get you anywhere fast, particularly when Liverpool are setting such high standards, and Man City did for a number of years where Arsenal were competing with them. So they have to change that mindset, whereas, again, particularly to start the game today, let's go at them. As if they were waiting for something to happen. They've got the quality, they've got the strength and depth. What are they waiting for? Have they got that belief? I said that before the match. Do Arsenal have the belief they can go and take City on? And even Rice after the game, they're getting interviewed, and Arteta every week says he's proud of his team.